Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing, Bill? Hi, Paul.
Hey, hi, Clark. Hi, Bill.
Mute myself. Oh, there I go. I finally got to mute myself.
Oh, hey, am I okay? Clark, could you hear me, Clark?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yep.
Okay.
My Lincoln background.
Love
There
it.
you go.
Yes.
Nice.
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Paul.
And Joanne is coming in, huh? Hopefully.
Yep. And Steve is our speaker today. Hello, Steve.
Steve.
Welcome.
Steve is here. Good morning,
Hi.
Steve.
Good to see you, Paul.
Good morning,
Good to see
Steve.
you.
I better put my real name up here too.
Yeah. I have to do that all the time too. What's it like in Massachusetts, Steve?
Well, like everybody else, there's not much going on. We're just waiting for this COVID shots to all get taken, and I got my first one today. So,
Great.
yeah, so.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi there.
I got my second one yesterday. Yay.
Hey,
I did too.
My second one next week.
how you feeling?
Actually, I feel
Not too
great.
bad. I'm
Oh,
just,
that's good.
I feel a little cold. I don't know, but that might just be.
Yeah,
Cold.
good. Ready. I had a reaction for the second one. It was cold.
And you know Steve
yeah,
Serta?
I remember Steve. Sure. Hi, Steve.
Good.
Met you a few times. Good, thanks.
Looking forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, I was looking back. You actually were out here and spoke to our club in person in 2016, I think it was, when Harvey was the president.
Yes.
I visited you
Twice.
At least two, maybe even three times.
Yeah, two or
maybe.
three.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah.
Yep.
no,
Yeah.
it's-
Good. Yeah.
You have a great-
I forgot. I shot off a quick email to Sharon Snyder because she was a big proponent of your.
That's right. She's the one who turned us on to this project.
That's right.
Right.
And she, I don't know if she can I saw her the other day, and I hope maybe she'll.
She
drop
was
in.
actually down in Guatemala City with her husband, Steve Snyder, who was a Rotary International president, director.
Director.
What do you call it?
I think director.
Director.
he was-
Okay.
And she saw the project down there and talked to us about it. I'm not sure. I think maybe Steve had introduced it before she saw it. But anyway, doesn't matter what the sequence was. So you got some snow back there?
Assuming you're talking about Massachusetts.
Yeah. Not Lincoln.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we just had some really nice 42, 45 degree weather the past couple of days.
Oh,
So
balmy.
yeah, so the good snow is quickly melting. We're supposed to be looking at some spring weather coming up. Our spring weather means 45. That's a heat wave. But yeah, no, we're looking forward to.
A little
It
thaw.
wasn't that bad of a winter.
No.
Yeah, we only had to get plowed maybe 6 times. That's not bad.
No, that's good.
Our winter.
We haven't had much snow here, unfortunately, and that's bad for our water situation. Not to mention my husband loves to ski. He didn't have as many times skiing this year. Cost the season pass
Are there ski slopes close to where you are?
about 90 minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Tahoe, Squaw Valley.
All right,
Tahoe.
all right.
Yeah.
Squaw Valley, what's the other ones? There's a
Heavenly.
bunch. Heavenly,
Heavenly.
that's the one I was trying to think of, yeah. What else, Mike?
It's not
Sugar
bad.
Bowl, whatever. There's several. Alpine.
My skiing days are over, so
Oh, yeah. Well, Mike still hits the slopes.
I had one. I was a no fear skier.
Uh-oh.
No fear. And
Straight down.
I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Mike skis
Yes.
with somebody like that. It's like, and he's always getting injured, that guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, that's why I'm not skiing anymore.
Yeah, I understand that Mike skis fast. Everybody tells me he skis fast, but I don't think he goes straight down. And he says he's careful, but I don't know how careful you can be if you're on two sticks.
Did you ever ski, Joanne?
Yeah, I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
I just never really took to it.
Yeah.
Did you, Paul?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We used to go to Squaw Valley all the time.
Yeah. Bill, were you a skier?
I tried it once.
Shanti.
You tried it once?
Yeah, it didn't work out. Believe me. I like my bones all connected and everything, and my joints, connected. So I didn't like having my feet, tied into a skis. Those boots are, not very comfortable.
Oh, well, you probably get the right ones fitted for you. One time, it's probably hard to make a full
The
determination.
best part of skiing was taking off those boots at the end of the day.
Shanti, you're driving.
You can't walk them.
No, you can't walk very much because they don't bend.
Ice.
So
I'm in the park being in like,
Shanti,
You're what?
Shanti,
I'm
thank you
in the
for
parking lot.
that.
I have a meeting in like 5 minutes.
Oh,
But I wanted to at least come say hi.
Okay.
Oh,
Do you want me to take some notes or are you gonna?
Right, actually the videos work great. And Clark has been sending those, so those
Okay.
are perfect.
Okay.
so our speaker today, Shanti, is Steve Serta. If you can see him here on the screen, I don't know if you can see him, but Steve, you have Shanti to thank for that great invitation.
Oh,
With your
thank you.
picture on it.
That was way over the top. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Actually, my plan is to have Trey Howland do most of the speaking. He's the executive director, and he'll be talking to us from Guatemala City this afternoon.
cool.
So
Great.
he'll be the star of the show. So,
Hopefully he's coming on pretty soon. We got you scheduled for 12:15 our time.
We'll get
Yes.
20 minutes.
Okay.
How many times you been to Guatemala, Steve?
25, give or take.
Wow, really?
For the past 16 years, yeah. This was the longest, well, for a while I was going every 6 months. And then of course with the COVID, I haven't been there in over a year. I would see, I thank God I can afford the expense and the time. And so that's the key.
Yeah. Well, you saved some money in the last year then.
Yeah,
We all have.
the kids are growing up, it's like they're
Oh,
related. They're not related to me, but they kind of feel
Sure.
like that.
Yeah. Hi, Truman.
Hi, everyone.
How you
Hi.
doing?
I'm doing fine. How's everybody else?
Well,
So good.
You got a haircut.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not growing very much anyway, so.
Oh, well.
There's a head of hair on Joe over there. Hey,
Yeah.
Joe.
Hi, Joe. Hey, Fremen.
There's
Hi,
Frank.
Fremen.
Grandma's in the back. Yeah.
You're going in and out of that background.
Yeah.
Claire, we got a finger and a pen.
yeah.
Reading your palm now. You will live a long life and a happy one.
Yeah, still got no, it's not a pen, it's a ring. Oh, there's a pen.
There's the pen.
So Shanti, where are you? Where are you going to?
I'm going to a meeting in Auburn.
In Albert. Okay.
Steve, my daughter is going to be going to Guatemala this summer, crossing our fingers as long as they're letting them in.
Oh, really? Where's she going?
Oh yeah, I think we'll probably find out in the next month or so. So we're just kind of waiting to hear.
I spent a couple of weeks there with Rotary in
Oh, cool.
2005. Yeah, it was an amazing trip.
Sherry, is your daughter going with the school trip? Why is she in Guatemala?
She is going with a group called Teen Missions International. Three of our other kids are also going. I have two going to Ecuador and one going to Mozambique and Zimbabwe in Africa.
Wow. Okay.
Again, we'll see. They all go where they're supposed to. Two of them were supposed to go to Brazil, but their trip was canceled and they moved it to Ecuador. So we'll see if they're all, open for them.
Hey, Shanti, I've got a great book for one of them to read.
Oh, great.
I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure you already know, but you want to WhatsApp, you want to get the WhatsApp on your phone.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah. It's all around the world. It's a free.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Joanne.
How you feeling?
Good.
Good. Hey, Dick. How you? You're muted, so we can't hear you, but you got a beautiful background there. He's waving. Hey, Carol.
Hey.
And there's Jan.
And Jerry and Karen.
Hello, guys.
Hello, Jerry.
Hi.
Hi there.
Oh,
And Graciela.
Yay.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome. Greg, so Claire's decided to leave.
So
Hiding
Steve,
behind the post.
Steve, all your checks go through Graciela here. So if you have a problem
Yeah,
with the
she's our
check,
treasurer.
she's our treasurer.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Hey, while we're talking international, I thought a couple of calls from Rod Hensley. It looks like he and Terry may be coming up for a little while. So from
Wow, there's
from Ahihik. They're going to try to come up and get their shots.
Oh,
Hi, Alan.
Good morning. Good whatever.
Yeah, you're right on the cusp.
Just turned 12.
How's our poet laureate?
Before the meeting starts, I keep going into the live auction or hitting the thing, and it makes me register every time. So my name must be in there 40 times by now. There's got to be a way to, well, since I'm registered, just get in there, isn't there?
The first time you registered on that, they gave you a number that you could use to get in.
But how are you
Yeah,
going
but
to
it
know that
doesn't,
number?
doesn't give you that option to use it anywhere. I mean, I've gotten 3 or 4 of those numbers.
But you can just
So
go
they're-
in
they're-
and look without registering. You don't have to register. You can just click on the link and it'll show you the, yeah.
Okay,
That's
then
silent auction.
I was at a Zoom meeting this morning, for another group, and there were about 8 people there that all wanted to get into this. None of them are, I didn't think about even sending them to them because they're not, well, they didn't come to mind. But they all want to get in, but what do I send them? Which one of the hundreds of things that we have do I send them?
Oh, I'll send you a link.
Okay,
It's
and
just
so,
real simple.
yeah, and that I can get that to them and let them get in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You could
That's
also forward them the one that Shante sent out earlier this week to everybody.
But I've gotten about 4 of them. I don't know which one is the right one to
Let's
send.
make it simple. I'll just send it.
Yeah. So you're gonna send it, Joanne?
Yep.
Okay,
The more the
thank you.
merrier.
Huh?
The more the merrier.
Yeah, I guess. Well, but these people are interested in bidding. I was telling them about stuff that was going on, so
Yeah,
they're new to the ranks.
yeah. Well, we're all new to this for sure.
well, welcome Trey Howland. Steve, looks like Trey is on.
So sorry, I was having trouble with the link there for a minute. I was a minute late there. Please, my apologies. It was tech related,
Okay.
not desire related. So.
Well, we understand Trey is in Guatemala City, so
Oh, wow.
we have some difficulties, you understand.
oh,
Thank you.
What time is it there, Trey?
Right now it's 2:00. So we're an hour behind East Coast.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's the perfect time of the afternoon, frankly,
Good.
to have a good chat, have a good conversation about life.
Hey, Trey, we're getting a little echo on you. Is there
Yeah.
something, you have two things open maybe?
I don't think so. That's strange. Yeah, I'm not
Hear
really
an
on
echo.
it. Huh?
I
What
don't
was that?
hear an echo.
Oh, you don't? Or maybe it's just me then.
No, I hear it too.
Yeah, I hear an echo too.
Shall I sign off and come back and see if that helps? Or?
Have you done that before and does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes
Sometimes it's the computer. So
All right,
let me.
well, okay, if you want to try that.
Yeah,
You might
that's
turn down your
probably-
volume.
maybe.
How about your
Yeah.
volume? Can you adjust the volume?
Hear me?
Okay. You know what? Let's try this.
I think
Yeah.
it's more distortion than feedback.
Yeah, a headset or.
You guys are so patient with me. Thank you.
Okay,
Is that better?
say something again, say something more.
My name is Trey Holland, Camino Seguro, Safe Passage.
I think it is better. Well, Joanne, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's better.
A little bit.
All right.
Good,
We don't get an echo at all.
good.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's go with it.
And our president, Brian Ludwig, just tuned in. There's Brian here. Okay.
Brian, where are you?
Under the Golden Gate Bridge.
Ken, you, here. We're in a parking lot in Rockland.
Brian, you're so funny.
Oh, okay. Brian, you do get some delay.
I think he's being silly, Paul.
Oh.
He's pulling your leg, Paul.
Oh, jeez, okay. All
Okay.
right.
So really, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, now I'm
Okay.
okay. Yes, I can
And-
now.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because
Howdy.
I did a double take.
Hey, Howie.
How you doing?
there was more than Trey, I was having a little difficulty with some. Oh, look at all these people here. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started, because we've got, I think, a fair amount to cover. We're gonna do what our normal stuff is in the beginning, and then we're gonna move to our speaker, and then come back after the speaker, come back to committee reports. Want to spend a little time with Karen going over everything.
Now we're losing you, Brian.
She needs to go over for our fundraiser that's in process right now. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. So who's
Clark is on.
is Clark on?
Sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right. Thanks. So if we do have an issue, maybe Clark can just run to the next thing so we don't run into any problems. All right. So why don't we start off? Let's see. How about leading us in the pledge today?
We couldn't understand what you said.
Yeah.
Who?
What did it say?
Brian? Dick Fowler?
Yes,
Yes, please.
Okay.
Would you mind leading us in the
yes.
pledge?
Will you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which stands
under God,
nation,
liberty,
God,
justice for all.
That was great, everybody.
Right. Thank you very much, Dick. I really appreciate it. And let's see, how about, you know what? Why don't we have Daryl do the 4-way test today? Would you mind, Daryl?
Hey, we can try and make that happen. Okay, for the first one.
It's
the truth.
Number
it the truth?
two.
Is it
Fair,
fair?
all concerned.
Is it fair at all?
Number three.
Will it
Will build goodwill,
Friendships.
better friendships.
Number four.
Will it be
Beneficial.
All
All concerned.
concerned.
And number five.
Will it
Have fun.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
I think we finished.
To have fun. Very much, Daryl. I appreciate that. Poem for us. Alan?
Yes. Did you ask?
Okay.
me?
Do you mind? Do you have a poem for us?
I do. And I will
Oh,
go right into it. Sometimes we lose control of things in life. We swerve off the path we need to travel. The future seems bleak. However, the unexpected may occur, and we may be given a second chance. Where the road swerved right, a light gladded him. The signal of something ahead clouded the vision in his eyes. Looking away in search of clarity, his sports car veered toward the shoulder of the road, skidding over the gravelly pavement. He jerked the wheel to the left. Sand flew across the windshield. Darkness obscured his future, now a question in his mind. Fear welled up inside. A deep pain felt in his gut sent chills through his body. He gasped, attempting to catch his breath as his head hit the steering wheel, sending it back into the headrest. The car, out of control, zigzagged toward an unknown destination, one absent of life. Visions drifted through his mind, signs of a life lost, taken all too soon. The world became black, the glare of the lights gone. Quiet descended upon the scene of the wreck. 1 week passed, a second began, as light penetrated a hospital room. His eyes opened to the smile of his cherished wife and a second chance at life. Thank you.
Wow.
Great.
Nice.
Thank you
That
very
was
much.
Tiger Woods, right?
It was very appropriate. It wasn't exactly written for that, but I chose it because it was very appropriate for what has happened to Tiger Woods.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, well, thank you, Alan. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
All right. Any visiting Rotarians today? I know
Yeah.
we've got the
Yeah, we do.
speakers on. No. Okay. All right. How about any guests? I don't see guests outside of our speakers. Okay. How about any birthdays? Birthdays today? Or within the next 6 business days?
Business days?
I'm sorry, the next 6. If you're born over this weekend, forget about it.
My daughter Heather's yelling at me because she is in the room watching this, so I should have said Heather's here as a guest.
Oh, hi, Heather.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Right, right.
hello, Heather.
Right.
All right, any anniversaries? No anniversaries, okay. Any anniversaries over the next six business days? Sorry, sometimes I crack myself up and take it over. All right, why don't we
An audience of one here.
Yeah, yeah. You should see me in front of the mirror. I really do kick myself. All right. Why don't we go ahead and move on to the speakers so that we don't hold them up. And then we'll come back after they're done. We'll come back and get into our committee reports. So I know that Paul was going to introduce our speakers for today.
Yeah, I'll take over. And yeah, thank you, Brian, for rearranging the schedule to allow our speakers to go first. And I did think you were funny, just to let you know. So our speakers are we got 2 very important speakers. So
can I interrupt a minute? Would everybody mute themselves so we can hear only the speaker?
And I'll be sure to do that as soon as I get off here. Yes, and so we do have, actually do have a visiting Rotarian. So this is Steve Serta, and this is actually his third or fourth time visiting our club. And he's been visiting with us since 2015, when we first started getting involved in his project called Safe Passage down in Guatemala City. Steve is with the Weymouth Rotary Club in Massachusetts, and they've been working with Safe Passage since 2006, mostly due to Steve's initiative in bringing it into the Weymouth Club. And they have actually got, I think, about a dozen of the Rotary clubs along the East Coast involved in this project as well. It's an amazing project, and we're looking forward to hearing more about it. Steve will be giving us a further description and a bio on Trey Holland, who's on the meeting today. And Trey is down in Guatemala City. He is the executive director and the head of the school down there. So we got involved in 2015 as a club. We put in from our World Community Services Committee $500, but this was leveraged with both money from the district and Rotary in Evanston to build that up to almost $2,000 back then. And then we've been in touch with Steve the past few months, with Richard is on right now. As of last month, the committee decided to send another $1,000 down there to help them deal with the whole pandemic. It's really upended everything down there with the school, and really food distribution has become a priority now. We'll hear more about that. But now with that $1,000, we have been working with the district, with our good friend Joe Scheimer at the district, and he is in process right now of leveraging that up to $3,000 with matches from both the district and Evanston. So we're waiting to hear back on that. So I'll turn it over to Steve, and hopefully we can have at least about a half an hour to hear more about Safe Passage. Steve?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to the Lincoln Rotary Club for the support of Safe Passage. You guys have been real good about working with us on our different global grants and the different projects down there. Yes, I've been working with Safe Passage since 2006. This year marks its 20th anniversary. I've seen some incredible growth down there. Every time I go down, it just sparks me up a little bit more to get a little bit more passionate about Safe Passage and what we can do. Rotary is a big part of funding for Safe Passage. It's not the only funding, but we are a big part of the funding. And 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet Trey. Trey is the current, I want to say new, but he's the current executive director. And I kind of would like to pass the ball over to Trey, because he can give you a whole lot more information than I can. And his time is very valuable. And I appreciate the fact that he cut a piece of his day out to come and meet with us today. So thank you very much. And Trey, why don't you take it from here? Thank you.
Yeah, Steve, or as I should call him, Esteban. That's how he's called down here in Guatemala, but he's being a little bit too humble. Steve is, I would call it treasure trove, like an archive on two legs with a Rotary badge of what we are and what we've been. And Steve, you said how much has changed. You know, he's been with us since 2006, and to think of the dramatic growth over that time, the change. When Steve started off, we weren't even a full day school. We only had a half day school or a half day program to support kids who were going to an external school. And now we're full day from pre-K all the way up to 9th with a whole new rehabbed program for 10th through 12th with job placement. It just goes on. So Steve's been there for so long. It's like watching a kid grow up, I would think, for him. But I also want to say, sneaking this in, but I'm actually a Rotarian as well. I joined Rotary down here in Guatemala, and my club is Las Americas, which also happens to be a club that has worked on global grants. Steve's been a large part, successful part of that as well. So it's Rotarians all around today. So, and I'm very proud to say it's one of the best decisions I've ever made was joining Rotary International. So, Brian, would it be okay if I shared my screen? Oh, whoever's in charge of the screen, if I have a bit of a PowerPoint.
I think it's Paul.
Well,
No,
Clark,
it's me. I got it.
Clark.
You're
Okay.
You're set now.
Wait for Clark.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Can everyone see that?
Yes, that's working.
Okay, very good. Okay, so taking 10 minutes, 15 minutes to kind of go through a few things. Now, it's always fabulous to get together with Rotarians who know the project already. It really opens up doors for us to do a bit of a deeper dive. Instead of having to go through what our mission is, even though I always like to start with the mission because it does drive us here. But I'm so glad to hear that you guys know who we are. You've been a long-term supporter as a group and as a club for what we do. So really what we're going to talk about today is what did COVID do to us and frankly for us in terms of inspiring better growth, better programming, smarter operations. So we'll hit that, and but let's start just by hitting the mission again. And you guys have heard this. Our job is to break this cycle. And you guys know the dump. It's the largest in all of Central America. About 60,000 people live in and around the dump. Of our families, we serve over 500 kids, and with their family members included, that's around 1,500 individuals in a population of about 60,000. Of our kids and their families, about 80% of them make their living picking garbage in the dump. The rest through street vending and that sort of thing. But our job is to break this cycle, because once you get a kid educated and they're out of that dump with a career, they never go back and they take their families with them. So it's about education, but it's also about the job at the end of the day. So it's really important that we remind ourselves what the overall trajectory growth goal is for the mission. I feel like it's important to throw some basic facts about living in the dump. And please forgive me if you guys are familiar with this stuff. I just think it's a good reminder. I personally remind my staff of some of these facts on a daily basis. The air that these people live in and work in is quite shocking. As like you can see here, you see what EPA required or what they recommend in terms of how many micrograms per cubic meter in terms of pollutants, whereas on a regular basis, we see 100 or higher at the dump. This, of course, means that workers are going to suffer from cancer, emphysema, other breathing problems, a lot of headaches. We see cancers in people at 30 that you shouldn't see until 80 or older. Children suffer from skin problems because they're around this water that is toxic, and they're in this dump. And by the way, the dump is not a specialized dump. In America, you wouldn't mix medical waste and industrial waste in a regular domestic dump, right? But here, it all comes together. So you'll be in medical waste, you'll be in industrial waste, and the poisons and the toxins that go with that. It's important just to know. I mean, our families live on about $3 a day. I'm sure you've heard this before, but I always like to point out that of that $3, Las Matas or the local gangs, they extort a lot of that money, almost half. And public school costs money. It's not free. To go to a public school, you have to pay for your uniforms, your books, your activities. The fees are quite high. And for many of our families, it would be out of reach for them to even go to a public school without our support. Absolutely important. I want to put this number in your head as we move forward. The high school graduation rate is around 18% in zone 3 and zone 7. Guatemala City is divided up into zones, so and all numbered. And a number of them are red zones, which is given that color based on the crime and the homicide rate in that zone. In our zones that serve the dump or around the dump, it's about 18% graduation rate from high school. And the employment rate in the formal economy is about 32%. The rest being criminal activity or working in the dump. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I'll stop there. If there's something else you want to know really quickly before we move in to what COVID has done to our community. Just in general, this is what is normal, even outside of the time of COVID. But I'll stop there. Is anybody curious about something particular about what it's like for our people in our community? And I can't see all the people, because I've got you on the side. So if you please speak up.
I guess one of the obvious questions is the government doing anything to help out with this issue?
Frankly, no. This is the expendables. If this was India, it was the caste system. These would be the untouchables. The government does not spend a lot of resources. We have some limited Ministry of Health installations here, but not hospitals, right? So the government, I'll give you an example during COVID. There was a food distribution by the government in the first 2 weeks of the crisis that only hit, I think, 2% of the community. And they came by with some coloring books about 3 months later after that. It is frankly all the NGOs. We're not the only one nonprofit working in the zones here, but we are the largest. And really the government made the decision, and I know this for a fact, that when thinking about allocating resources to different parts of the city during the crisis, particularly, our community is the last to be thought of. We even don't get water now during this time. We're having to actually buy water and get it in, and the government looks at us to do it. So it's a sad state of affairs in terms of the abdication of that responsibility.
What kind of housing do they live in? Is it tents? Is it tin huts that they built, or what?
Sure. Next time I'll bring pictures of this. I was just walking in the community yesterday, and I do want to take a moment to talk about that. It was quite shocking, even for my experience here. But they live in a confab of recycled materials and things they can scavenge from the dump, intermixed with some brick structures. But 15 years ago, these communities out here did not really exist. All of the pickers lived in the dump, in tents and structures made out of cardboard and corrugated tin. There was a major fire in the late 90s that killed hundreds of people, probably more, but the official numbers are in the hundreds. And the government then required that everyone move out of the dump, but made no allowance for where they would go. And so you have thousands of people who then squat on the land around the dump. And over time, those settlements organically grew into more permanent settlements, with even there were some of them their own streets. But the government does not recognize most of those zones. For example, they don't even send electricity. So power in many cases is pirated, the same for water. So that's a kind of a basic overview. I went there yesterday for the first time in a year because of COVID. I've been back. I actually had to leave the country for a while and came back in October, and I had not had a chance to revisit the community. I did yesterday, and it's far worse than it was when I left before. So over the last year, the degradations, the normal anxiety and stress of that community has been exacerbated to the degree that you can just see it. The streets are even far more disrepair. A lot more people suffering from drug and alcohol intoxication on the streets, laying around. Children were dirtier. So I had a real wake-up call yesterday myself. And the housing is actually in ill repair as well. Other questions?
My question is Las Maras. So the local gang members, do they go out and protect people, right? By asking for money, correct?
The protection, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, think of it as the 1940s equivalent of the mafia in New York City.
Right.
Like, you're going to pay me for protection, but let's make sure we understand what that means.
Right. Now, do you have to work with them, or
the gangs?
Yeah, like no, or you could? I mean, are they leave you alone?
That's such a great question. That is such a great question. And the gangs dominate everything from the economy to the society here in these zones. It's MS-13 and M-18 are the two major gangs that are here, but it's a lot of subsidiary gangs. The violence that occurs generally in non-COVID times it's turf wars. It's some local hot dog or cowboy trying to make a move. We, as an organization, do not get in their way. All right, we're not. You're not going to see me going out activating and talking in the press about the gangs, but no students are allowed to be affiliated. It's a no-no. Like if you become affiliated with a gang, you can't be in our school. But we have to be very careful to answer this question. I do not work directly with the gangs, but I do have security personnel who know what's going on with the gangs. My security people and my team actually live in the zones. So I'm pretty well informed of what's going on with the gangs. They leave us alone. I think even they would, and I'll give you the reason why. We hand out a lot of resources. We keep a lot of people safe. We are educating. Even though we don't allow gang members in our school, that doesn't mean they don't have an uncle or a cousin. And so even the gang members understand that we're bringing more value to the community. And I think that that's enough. There's kind of a detente kind of between our organization. We just stay really under the radar when it comes to the gangs themselves. But I'll say that things got really crazy. We always have explosions and violence here and there, but it's punctuated. It's almost like there's a calmness to the zone generally. But during COVID, things have gotten really crazy. I want to actually talk about that for a minute. I'm going to use some statistics to kind of talk about what's happening, and I'll get back to the gangs in a moment and how this relates to those guys. The dump shut actually in the very first part of the crisis, and you guys know our project, you know what our families are doing. Imagine they don't have access to that income, and this went on for months, and they would open the dump, allow some picking, and then excluding it, and they even went through a period where the government was dumping garbage in the street in front of the dump itself and allowing people to pick through it and then picking that garbage back up and then taking it to the dump. So we measured about 60% loss of income on the part of our families. I don't have to tell you how emergency level that is in terms of their ability to maintain their livelihoods. At the same time, we've seen a huge increase. I'm sorry? I thought I heard a question, sorry. The suicide rate is up, the homicide rate is up, and this is back to the gangs. These two numbers, these come together, okay, and it has to do with the gangs. And because the people don't have the money to be extorted, the gangs have resorted to, shall we say, more nefarious, violent, and unpredictable behaviors. There's been a lot more rape, a lot of more women being grabbed off the street, women being sold by gang members. It's been horrible. And with that, with the depression level, with all the quarantine and anxiety levels, it's really had an impact on, we've had fathers of our own students drink themselves to death. So it's been, I'm just cutting to the chase with everyone. It's not been pretty. And so when we talk about the achievements of this next year, I want to please have that as kind of a foundational understanding of what we were fighting against in the course of this last year. So we've also seen a large increase in interpersonal violence among our families. This is spousal abuse, it's child abuse. Our social workers are not seeing our children. Our kids have not been on campus for a year, right? So what that means is that we can't monitor what's happening. We can't see what's going on with our students. But we are getting reports. Our social workers are in constant contact with the families, and what we are hearing is that it's far worse than we could have suspected. And when the kids do come back, we have a lot of work to do, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Let me make sure all this is done, and then we can go through it. Jobs in Guatemala, because of COVID, it's been an absolute disaster in terms of private sector jobs. So even if you have a 2% employment rate in the zone, if you have 11% less jobs in Guatemala, and even those are concentrated in Guatemala City, you're having an even larger impact on unemployment in the zone, which is going to lead to more shared anxiety, more shared stress, toxic stress actually for the community, and less money in the community. There's been no testing, none, essentially, in our zone. So when we hear about, I'm sure all of you are interested in Guatemala, you see the numbers. I ask you all just to understand those numbers mean nothing, because I can promise you the government is not testing people. At least they haven't during most of the COVID crisis. They're not testing dead people either, because they don't want to waste the test. So we really don't know the rate. We really don't know how many people have contracted the disease. And I can promise you that the sniff and eye test of what I'm seeing with our families is our cases have really gone up. A lot of fevers, a lot of issues. They're called gripes, the cold combined with the fever. They go to the hospital, these local, like socialized hospitals here, they're turned away or they receive no help. And in worst case scenario, they're grabbed and quarantined away from their families. So we're not getting the medical care, we're not really getting the testing. And here's the thing, our kids are already at a performance deficit, given what they live in and what they go through. They've lost a whole year of face-to-face time with us. It is staggering. It's almost impossible to articulate what that means in terms of exacerbating that performance gap and what we're going to have to do when they get back with our curriculum, with our program, with our triage, academic and social, psychosocial, like to be able to address what these guys have been through. So that's COVID. These are some of the big stats about COVID to take a bad situation and make it worse for us. But this is where you guys come in, right? We reinvented our entire nutritional program, the whole thing from scratch. why it's like flying a plane and fixing it at the same time. Crisis started, and we knew that food and nutrition is absolutely vital. In normal times, when we have a break, some kind of vacation, the kids come back. We have to have belts in stock because the kids' clothes are falling off when they come back. So our nutritional program is the heart and soul of a proper living possibility for these kids in terms of their health. So you can imagine if they're not allowed on campus and we can't feed them, that was a crisis in and of itself. So we invented an entire food disbursement system where representatives from the family come on a regular basis and receive nutritional support. We also provide these cards, these voucher cards they can use at a local grocery, an agreement we negotiated, which is great because if you left with a bag of food, it happens that this food could be stolen from you and you can get attacked for that food in the zone. But having a card is really great because we can do both the disbursements of food and the card. But the cool thing about that is that we also combined it with a distance learning model. And this is really where the support of Rotaries have really come into play, is we've been able to apply ourselves and apply more resources to a vastly different curricular approach. Our model is called expeditionary learning. Expeditionary learning is exactly what it sounds like. For our students, face-to-face education generally in normal times is a journey. It is an expedition of learning. It's not just learning learning in the classroom or lectures. Kids who have been through the toxic stress these children have grown up in, the gunfights, the noise, the screaming, the murders, all of that actually interdicts neural pathway growth. And it just so happens to obviate the very things you need to have executive function, which is vital for a successful academic life, right? The solution to that is a dynamic, hands-on, student-centered, engaging, authentic learning experience that is organic and real and tangible, right? Okay, so now you're in our place. You are running the school. You no longer can see the kids, but you've got to keep them learning. So we created an entire new system of take-home work. I mean, it sounds like we're partying like it's 1950. We all went to school and took home the packets and sort of thing before computers. It's kind of like that because our kids don't have computers. We can't do virtual learning. But the teachers and the extra support we got, buying more technology so that teachers could have smartphones, because we can call a lot of our families. They do have phones in some cases. Most of them are flip. But creating videos that can be used for instruction, we revolutionized our entire idea of distance learning. Hands-on projects using materials in the home and creating like teacher ambassadors that work with the families to make sure that we're coaching, that we're closing the instructional loop. You know, like you give information, you give work, but you got to coach and give feedback, and that's where we're learning happens. So it's the food you helped us with, which was more expensive than, I mean, if you know economies of scale. If I'm making a soup and I'm handing out soup, that's cheaper than me having to package food and putting it in bags, right? So our food costs went up and our academic costs went up. And we made it because of the support that you and clubs all through the country gave us. So it's tactile, it's real. I mean, the outcome, the success of the project was based on that support.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
This is Howard Stagg. My picture's muted, but do you coordinate? Does your program coordinate? Does your Rotary Club coordinate with the educational program and Amigos de los Guadalajara? The training program that it's not an official Rotary program, but it's all Rotarians that are participating, and they sponsor kids in Guatemala for education.
Yes.
Do you know what they're doing?
I know what they're doing. I'm personally not affiliated with them as Camino Seguro, but my Rotary Club has worked with them in the past.
Okay, because
I'm making a note.
Okay, well, I've sponsored 3 kids for about 10 years. One's graduated, and the reports I get back say that COVID is a problem. They haven't indicated the gangs are a real problem for them, but the food is a real problem, and the shortage of food this year is a bigger problem than it has been in the past. So that's reports I get back from Guatemala, and but otherwise the kids continue to go to school, elementary and high school, and they continue with their virtual learning and so forth.
Mhm.
And the reports I get is it's more food than anything else.
You're on it. And I'll tell you this, I mean, the virtual learning piece, by no means are all schools in Guatemala so bereft of technological capacity as our school has to be, because it's not that we can't purchase computers and we could hand out iPads or whatever. We'd lose about 30% of our computers in our zone if we handed those things out, and the kids would be targeted. And we've looked at all options for that. So we're having to kind of pick this lock in a more creative way. But you're right. I mean, there are schools here in Guatemala that are doing a great job with virtual learning, and food and medicine, and actually cleaning materials in our zone is huge. Soap, all the things you need to keep your home clean. And the hygiene elements of also trying to keep our families safe. But I'm with you 100%. We have special challenges at our school, but it's good to hear that you're getting reports elsewhere that at least in some ways corroborate what I'm trying to share today.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for the comment. 3 big things that we came up with that I really we're very, very happy with. I mentioned there are social workers. They're our first line. They are communicating with the families on a weekly basis. If a father is drinking too much, if he's showing signs of despair, we can get involved. If a kid is experiencing abuse, we can get involved. If a family doesn't have enough food, we can act quickly. So this phone tree, this communication network with our social workers has been vital to everything we do. If we find a crisis, the social workers can mobilize me and the entire organization to react. This is something that I really wanted to share with you guys. When we shut down, we weren't allowed to go to the community. We weren't allowed to see our kids. We've got 10 critical cases, medical cases, and we're talking renal failure case. We've got a young cancer case. We've got breathing issues, respiratory problems. These are chronic problems. They need medication. And in Guatemala, you can't call in generally. You can't call in a prescription due to the fears of fraud. It's just not done here. We created an entire telemedicine model and pharmaceutical model with our doctor, our pediatrician is on call, but on the telephone. And so we were able to adapt our medical model and our pharmaceutical model. We also made an agreement with a local pharmacy, and this is not done in Guatemala, but we got a local pharmacy to agree to take a photo from a doctor, confirmed, of a prescription, and so that our kids continue to get the meds that they need. So these are 3 big things that we did in health and wellness that made a big difference for us. Really need to say this. It might be self-evident, but I gotta share this. We've put so much effort in making sure that we are utilizing world-class hygiene protocols, and our staff are trained. We have PPE. We train our families. We have reports that our families are the best in the zone in terms of social distancing, mask wearing. We have all the materials we need, and we're very invested in this. And what you're looking at is a food disbursement on the lower right here. As you can see, our families are kept, our mothers, as they come in, are kept at a distance, right? It might be self-evident, but I felt like it was important to note that we know what we're doing, what we're trying to do in terms of keeping our staff and students safe when they do come back. Here's a couple, just a list of some things that I think are worth noting. All right, so we finished our first year, our COVID year. We were shut down in March of last year. We ended the year in December. We're not on a regular academic year. We're on a calendar year for our academic year. So we go from January to December, really November. But we ended the year with 99% student retention in grade passage. 99%. I say those words, and it's higher than our normal. Our normal tends to be about 96. The retention rate and passage rate for middle school, just to give you an example, for the schools in the zone is about 38%. And so we're always proud of the fact that we're in the 90s. Our kids come back, they pass. And yet we did a better job during COVID than we did during a non-COVID year. 100% of our teachers came back. 100. That's never happened before. Anytime at a school like this, the demands on our teachers, the demands on our staff, you're going to get some turnover. We're generally in the 96. When I first got here in 2018, it was 86. And then we worked hard on retention, recruiting, the type of disposition of teachers we're looking at, 100% this year. Here's the big one, 98% of our seniors graduated, 98%, which is in line with our normal percentage. Remember the number I gave you earlier. This is coming back now, 11% is the normal graduation rate for schools in the zone. And as I mentioned, we got, for the first time in the history of our organization, all of our teachers have laptops at home. We bought extra data so they could do more planning and do more work. We got training for all of our teachers on how to start using online platforms for math and reading and writing. And we created learning family collaborators. And what this is, not all of our families have phones. Not all of our families have electricity, actually. But we were allowed through this learning family collaborative to make sure that we had leaders in the community that were bringing. I was in Cub Scouts as a kid, and it makes me think of like a den mother, right? So you got a local learning mother, and she's making sure those students are getting what they need, communicating all the information to those moms who are illiterate, which is not a small percentage of our community, or who don't have phones. So we put a lot of work in, and frankly, everyone, I just got to, and I think you'll be proud of this. At the end of the day, the community got closer together. It got closer. And the trust line is a through line between our work and what we've done with our families and our kids. We came out stronger than we went into it. So last thing I'll say, and then I'll hand it over to you guys for questions. They're coming back soon. Our hope is that the kids would be back next week. But they have this kind of traffic light rating system that they use, the government puts out. If it's red, you can't go to school. If it's orange, you can come for 1 day a week. If it's, you get it. But they're all over the map, and they change at the last second. We've had 3 tentative start dates since the beginning of January that have had to be canceled due to the government dictate. So all we can do is plan. But I do want you to know that we've worked really hard to have a logistical plan. We've redone our schedules. Our staff has been retrained. Hygiene protocols are in place, all the materials, and we've allocated the proper resources to make sure that our people are safe. On academics, when the kids do come back, we're gonna have to figure out what we lost. No matter how good our distance learning was, we'll never be able to say that we didn't suffer some major losses. The exacerbation of that performance gap that I was talking about earlier. So how do we do it? How do we recover that? We're gonna have to reinvent our curriculum. 2021 is going to have to act like 2021 plus summer 2020 and on and on. We're going to be spending years making up these losses. It's daunting, but we're committed. And finally, the kids are coming back. They haven't been with us for a year. They've been in a gang-ridden zone without personal mentoring, without the beauty and love that comes with being, and this is where the rubber really hits the road. When you walk in our school, and Steve will tell you this, the doors open, and you walk from a place that is terrifying, scary, it's another world, and then you walk into our school. And to say it's an oasis is it's a rhetorical flourish, but it's the truth. It's a place where you're safe. It's a place where you can flourish. It's a place where you're loved and you're cared for. And so we haven't had our kids for a year. We have to prepare ourselves, and I've had to hire extra psychologists for this. We've had to retool our entire triage plan, because when our kids come back, we're going to discover things that we have no idea about now. How do we do that? How do we as a staff with limited resources make sure that we're assessing our students properly, not just in psychosocial, but also their teeth, also their bodies. We're going to have so much work to do to try and intervene, assess and intervene and overcome what are sure to be some pretty daunting changes to their health over that time. And so I'll stop there. Ladies and gentlemen, I really want to thank you for letting me go straight through like that. And I'm going to stop. I know I probably should have taken more breaths and let you guys ask questions, but thank you very much for letting me share that with you.
Trey, what help do you get from your graduates after they graduate from high school? And, do they come back and help as alumni?
That's such a good question. I've got something that I probably don't want to share, but I have to be honest. When I arrived, Camino Seguro, with all of its strengths and all of the beauty in their program and approach, they had a gaping hole. And they weren't taking the time to stay in touch with graduates. They just weren't. And I put a program in place in 2018, and I'm proud to say right now, we've had a 20 to 30% increase in the participation of graduates who are coming back now, and they're talking to our students. They're becoming like role models. And it's, so I want you to know, I'll come back to you, Joanne, in another year, another 2, and I'll have a better answer than 20 to 30%. But they are serving a major role model role, and it's incredible to see the eyes of the students light up and they say, this guy was like me, and they're working at a bank now. They're working at a, at a call center, or they're working in a restaurant. They're not picking garbage. They don't have to do that anymore.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I agree.
How are you doing on vaccinations for COVID? None. And what's the projected timeline for that?
I had a meeting last week with a rep at the Ministry of Health who I kind of get insider info from time to time, and he pretty much told me that you can forget it till 2023. That vaccinations aren't really, unless something changes, unless there's some kind of comprehensive global effort for countries like Guatemala. The government officials, rich people are going to be able to get them, but the population as a whole, not at all. You won't see anything close to an indicative shift in immunity based on vaccinations till 2023, according to the sources I have.
Then how do you get back to face-to-face instruction?
We are engaging in the very same thing that so many schools and states are doing. We have every protocol in place for social distancing, mask wearing, hand cleansing, face shields for teachers, constant cleansing of spaces. So it's basically based on World Health Organization standards for that. So that's our response. And that's actually, there are some requirements from the government, but I find them weaker than the World Health Organization.
You might find it encouraging. I certainly did. Our Sacramento club had the RI president speak this week. And one of the things he said was he wanted to see Rotary get behind finding equity for vaccinations in the world.
What an amazing cause.
I know. I was so gratified to hear him wanting us to get, because it's a pretty political situation.
Sure it is.
He went into it in a little bit. I don't know if anybody heard that, got a chance to hear that. It was a very good talk, and I was really impressed with him wanting to take that on.
My heart's beating right now, Jones. The thought that Rotary, of all the organizations that you can imagine, would jump into that fight. I'm not surprised it's being talked about, and it's just going to be another feather in the cap of an organization that's made so many changes in the world through history. Here's this historic pandemic, and they're at the forefront of equity and vaccinations, so to make the world a better place and more safe is, anyway, you got my heart beating a little bit on that, so thank you.
So can you talk a little bit about, if somebody gives $100 or Rotary Club gives $100, what that buys, $500, $1,000, that kind of stuff? Sure.
Actually, you know what I could do is get you a list. If I could get back to you specific, I mean, we had it worked out that this is what this much money does. But I will say this, to serve a single student for an entire year, and we could work our way backwards on the math, to serve a student for an entire school year, food, social work, psychology, materials, all the things that make for a full wraparound service model. This is also including serving the parents of those students, is about $1,600 for an entire year. That's all in though. That includes teachers, it includes materials. So about 60% of that is academic. I'd say about 20% of that is nutrition and maintenance of the spaces. And then we could break it out in psychosocial after that. But can I promise to get you an actual list that I just can't recall them off the top of my head, and you got me because I should have that memorized. Like, what does $1 get kind of thing.
I'd be happy. Our international committee probably would enjoy having that if they don't already.
I will make a note, my friend, and Steve will remind me, and I'll make sure that I get that to you guys. Okay.
Right. Any other questions for Trey?
Can I just quickly?
Yep.
Trey, I just have to tell you, this project is incredibly dear to me. I am a big fan of Hanley Denning, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart on what you guys are doing. It's incredible. I would like to suggest everybody on our members to watch the video that has been done by Safe Passage about what you guys are doing on YouTube. It's unreal to see the kids, and it's unreal to see what you guys are doing and how you are helping these kids. And it's just thank you very much. I actually offered to bring you the check in person. Maybe next time. So, but
Maybe
thank
next
you
time.
very much.
The invitation is still ardently and passionately extended to you, that you come. And Gabrielle, I want to say that what's important for all of you to hear is daily, on a daily basis on this job, and all these years that I've been here, what really drives people in many moments is they know they're not alone. They know they're not alone, and they know there are people all over the world, specifically in the United States. Rotary's at the front of that discussion, that they're not in the trenches by themselves. People care, people love us, and it's a group effort. And so we talk about the global family of Camino Seguro, and again, it's not just rhetoric. It's vibrant, it's real, it makes a difference. That the kids know. The kids know that there are people in other countries that care about them. It makes a difference. So I thank you back. It means a lot. It means a lot to hear from you.
All right.
I got a question.
Sure.
I have a question. What other involvement do you have with other NGOs or GOs in your operation?
Great question. There are upwards of 32 nonprofits operating in the zones, and they range across the board in size, focus. Some work with pregnant teenagers, others work with alcohol abuse, across the board. And so there have been some loose affiliations in the past, just to talk about the zone and what's going on with the violence or what's going on with specific issues. What COVID did is that some of these problems became so severe. In the first few months, I called together a large group of those members. We call it READY, which is the name of the consortium, and activated it, William, into a far more robust, hands-on, active, and I mean active as in solving specific problems like water shortages or like what's going on with kids getting their hands on a particular type of drug that was making its way through the neighborhood and it was causing hospitalizations. My point being, that group has come out completely different than it was before. And I'm going to be, it's not going to sound modest, but it's the truth. It was Camino Seguro's leadership, given our status in the zone, that led that. And we've come out of it with better relationships with the municipality, better relationships with the Ministry of Health, and better relationships with each other. So that benefit of that collaboration is going to be paying off for a long time.
Have you had any help from any governmental organization, like UN or the USAID or anything like that?
We've had some loose collaborations over the years with some of those, but that's not really, hasn't been the focus of our work. Camino Seguro is a fast and live organization. Like, we can adapt very quickly. And I know working with USAID is not going to obviate that. It's just not been the cultural focus of the organization. We work with other nonprofits. We work with corporations a lot in Guatemala for support, volunteering and that sort of thing. But it's not been something. I will say this, you're catching me at an interesting moment. I do want to start opening up our opportunities in government grants. Start looking at things that we haven't looked at in the past. I understand this is my 6th country that I've lived in, and I know in the past, the U.S. State Department, in many cases, when they deliver aid to a foreign country, people think it goes to the government. That's not the model. Actually, they pick local, trustworthy organizations that are American-based generally, who are doing work in that country that serve the very goals that the State Department is trying. That has atrophied through the last administration, but there's talk that they're going to start moving back in that direction. So you're catching me, William, at a moment where I want to look back, and we are, for instance, solving issues that cause asylum seeking. Our kids' families don't seek asylum. They don't need to. They have hope. We are solving issues of pregnancy. We're solving issues of drugs. We're solving issues of gangs. So I think we should be in that conversation if there's going to be any government aid coming to Guatemala and the other triangle countries. I feel like we'd be part of that conversation. So to totally answer your question, that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question.
And maybe Steve can answer this quick question. Are there any global grants in process right now for Safe Passage?
What a great idea. Yes, as a matter of fact, at the end of March, I'll be reaching out to your club and other clubs in the United States. The plan is we have a Safe Passage has a piece of property. They've had it for 7 years. They're going to be building a brand new structure, a junior high school facility to house the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And there's also an existing structure on that building that's currently used for administration and health care. So that building is going to be refurbished. So we will be reaching out very shortly to talk about a global grant to purchase educational equipment, technology, and we'll be hearing from you soon. So thank you.
Good deal, because we're probably not going to be on the construction side with the global grant, but the materials would be good. Great.
We won't be building the building, but we'll be supplementing some of the equipment, the library. And thank you in the past for your past contributions. Just to close, I hope to be back in California soon to visit my grandchildren. As soon as you guys start meeting again, I'd love to come out and visit with you again. You've got a great little town. I'll bring my wife for the drive because she likes to do the shopping and sightseeing in the town, and I'll sit at the meeting and have a nice meal with you. So thank you for today. Thank you very much.
How exciting is that? Thank you, Joy.
Trey, I just have one final question here. If there is a problem or a delay in getting the schools reopened, as I recall, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you have an adult education program going on? Has that continued during the pandemic, or?
It has. It's gone through distance learning as well. Our adult program, many of you might be familiar with Crayons, which is our mother's program. It is an entrepreneurial crafts training program. It also includes wellness, financial skills, and literacy was always a big part of Crayons. So we made a decision to house our existing adult education program within Crayons. And so it is now there, and it has been continuing to function, Paul, with the distance learning. They're doing a very similar model that we've been doing with our kids. Great questions.
All right.
Well, thank you,
I want to,
Trey and Steve. Thank you both.
I want to. Yeah, Steve and Trey, thank you very much for being here today and taking the time to go through all that and answering the questions. Some really good work you guys are doing. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was such a pleasure to see you all. You made my day. Thank you very much. And please stay safe. And we'll talk again soon. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So in the interest of time, it's 1 o'clock now. What I'd like to do is just kind of put a pause this week on the committee reports, but give Karen the time to talk about something that's very important to all of us, which is the auction and the gala that's going on as we speak, but then also tomorrow night. So Karen, if I can turn it over to you.
You're muted.
I'm unmuted now. I'm not Jerry, I'm Karen. I'd like to, right now you can do silent bidding until tomorrow evening when we start our live event. And I'd like to go through the live event for you. If you've already signed up to attend tomorrow night, you should tomorrow receive an invitation to Paybe that you can just click on it and go right into the program. They'll open up the program right at 5:30. But if you go in there early, there'll be what would be called a lobby where you see scrolling pictures of us and scrolling pictures of our sponsors. And so then you just have to sit and wait until 5:30 till the program starts. The other way of getting in is go to, like you do to the silent auction, any of those, the top URL that Shantae's been sending out to everybody, and hit the preview of the live, or to the right, there's a sign up for the live auction. Go in there, you put in your email, your name, and your phone number. And then that will give you a code, and you can go right into the live auction by using that code. So tomorrow night, when you get there at 5:30, we have an auctioneer, and his name is Tony, and he's very nice. He's a retired school administrator like myself, and he will give us a welcome. And then at 5:35, if you bid on anything and you want to check your bids for the silent auction will close at 5:35, and he will announce them. Then we're going to have 3 videos shown by our community people. There's going to be a video from the salt mine talking about how we help them. Also one from the school district superintendent on internet access and how we helped them this last year with kids who didn't have internet access. And then a new program that we're starting, which is what we're trying to raise most of our money for, besides our regular kinds of programs. And it's called Project Cornerstone. And the goal is to eventually help all the students in Lincoln feel valued and respected, and to help build a community where all adults support youth so that they can thrive. This is an adult and youth program developed by the YMCA, and it involves adults going in and reading books like we have similar, but this is much more tailored to specific things. They have about 40 different things that over time, over the years, they want to impart to the kids. It's a fabulous program. It's been done by lots and lots of schools in the Bay Area, so it's a proven great thing. And that will, after the videos, we will have what we call Fund a Need. And it's different levels of giving that I sent to you yesterday, so you can peruse how, if you want to give $50, $50,000, it will tell you what basically our money is going to, such as these programs that we heard about today. If you don't want to give, which is the lowest number we have on there is $50, you can punch a button that is black on your screen or with your mouse that says customize what I want to give, and you can type in there $20 or whatever and do that. And Tony will go from, I'm not sure if he's going to go from, we're going to start at 2,000 and go down to 50, or if he's going to start at 50 and go to 100, 250, 500, 1,000. So if you have not found anything on the silent auction that you want, or the live auction that you want, this is a way for you to spend the money that you've saved all year long by night, paying your dues and et cetera, et cetera. And so that will go on, and Tony will talk about our sponsors. He'll talk about the programs in more depth as to what we're going to be doing to spend our money on that we earn. Remember, this is our only fundraiser, so what we earn is what we have to spend next year. We have at the end of the evening, we have a game, and it's an unusual game, I have to admit, but it's a thing where it's a chance thing where you donate $50, you push a button, you donate $50 the second time you push a button, and somewhere along the game, Tony will say, okay, that's it. So whoever was the last donor of those $50 wins what we call a tree. And Chris has put together the tree, and it's full of $600 worth of gift cards. It's two $50 ones at Target, a $100 one for Ruth Chris, two $50 ones for Home Depot, a $50 Visa, $100 Visa, $100 Outback, and $50 Williams-Sonoma. And various people from Vic to Barbara have gathered these gift cards, and I'm very, very happy about having that to be able to give away at the end. So it's the kind of thing where we're trying to keep people there the whole evening, and so we want you to give generously, have your friends give generously. You all have been a really big help in helping us with gathering silent auction items. If you didn't give one yourself, you gave us money, and we bought some things to help downtown Lincoln businesses and put together baskets. And I want to thank especially Frema and Graciela for doing that. Other people lots of people on the committee have done all kinds of things. Many of you people who are listening now. So you all been helpful. Now we just need to be involved in the silent auction. If that doesn't entice you, then the live auction that doesn't entice you, then do the fund a need. And so I want to thank you for participating in this. The committee's worked very hard on putting this together, and we would appreciate your support. I'm done. Questions?
I want to just thank all the folks that volunteered to be at Karen and Jerry's house on Saturday and Sunday. Got a full crew. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And one more thing. How many of you didn't go to Italy this year, or you didn't go to Hawaii, or you didn't go to Mexico? Use some of that money for us.
Yeah. Questions? Okay, Brian, I guess it's back to you.
All right. So, okay, well, thank you, Karen, for that. That was a good summary of everything that's going on. I think it helps clarify exactly what's going on now and then also for tomorrow night. So thank you for taking the time to do that. And I want to say thanks to everyone who's been involved in pulling this thing together. I'm excited for what you guys have done, and then also very excited to hop on tomorrow night and see that result as we go through the night with Tony. So thank you for everything there.
I forgot to tell you that Brian's going to be one of the stars tomorrow night because he's going to have a welcome.
Great. All right. Yeah, so make sure you drink plenty. So, all right. So what we'll do is we'll wrap up now. I know we have a board meeting today at 4 o'clock. So anyone, as always, you guys are welcome to attend if you'd like. If you do want to attend, let me know and I can get the link out to you. Otherwise, I hope to see all of you tomorrow night in the auction. All right. Have a great week and thank you all for everything you do. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye.